The cost curve of modern warfare has officially collapsed. In February 2026, the US Navy stopped asking, "How much does it cost?" and started asking, "Can we even see it?" For 50 years, air superiority was a game of eagles fighting flankers. But when Iranian-backed proxies flooded the Red Sea with cheap, disposable suicide drones, Washington realized its entire inventory of $4 million interceptor missiles was mathematically unsustainable. They were firing Ferraris at mopeds. The tactical problem is the radar hole. The Shahed-136 isn't just cheap. It's small, flies low, and is made of plastic and carbon fiber. $1 billion Aegis destroyer radar struggles to distinguish it from a wave crest or a flock of birds until it's 30 seconds from impact. If you miss, you lose a tanker. If you hit, you spend $2 million to kill a $20,000 lawnmower engine. The US Navy was bleeding money and taking risks. They needed a sniper that could see in the dark without turning on a flashlight. If this defense fails, the Strait of Hormuz closes and oil hits $200 a barrel. If it succeeds, the US proves it can win the war of pennies with the hammer of God. They aren't risking the F-35 because they want to. They are doing it because the math left them no choice. Let's break down the arsenal. The new doctrine is cost inversion. Normally, you want to spend less than your enemy. But in 2026, the US has accepted that it must spend more to protect what matters. This is the Secret Service model. You don't buy a cheap bulletproof vest for the president just because the assassin's bullet cost $1. You put a $100 million jet in the air to protect a $13 billion carrier. The F-35 isn't there to dogfight. It is there to act as the goalkeeper that never blinks. Here is the brutal math. An Iranian Shahed-136 costs roughly $20,000 to $50,000. The AIM-9X Sidewinder missile used to kill it costs $400,000. Critics call this a disaster. Strategists call it a bargain. Why? Because the alternative is a drone hitting the flight deck of a Nimitz-class carrier, taking a $100 million aircraft out of action, or killing American sailors. In the calculus of political will, the F-35 is the only insurance policy that pays out. Asset 1. The Hesse Shahed-136, the Moped. Look at the engine. It sits openly on the back, exposing its cylinder heads. It's a Chinese-made MD550 piston engine, essentially a stolen German lawnmower motor. It sounds like a chainsaw in the sky. This is IKEA engineering. It has no radar, no pilot, and no sensors. It flies on commercial GPS coordinates. It was built to be attritable. Iran knows 80% of them will be shot down. They don't care. If they launch 50 and one gets through, they win. Its delta wing body is mostly composite material, which gives it a tiny radar cross-section, RCS, by accident, not design. It is the ultimate low-tech nightmare for a high-tech force. It is a strategic pest. Individually, it is garbage. Collectively, it is a fleet killer. It forces the US Navy to empty its magazines on junk targets. Asset 2. The F-35 Sea Lightning II, the Panther. Look under the nose. There is a faceted glass gem that looks like a diamond. That is the EOTS, Electro-Optical Targeting System. But the real magic is the sensors you can't see buried in the skin. Why use a stealth jet against a dumb drone? Because of the AN/AAQ-37DAS, Distributed Aperture System. This is a ring of 6 infrared cameras that stare in every direction simultaneously. A traditional fighter needs to point its radar to see a target. The F-35 sees everything passively. The Shahed drone is invisible to radar because it's plastic, but its lawnmower engine is hot. The DAS picks up the thermal signature of that cheap piston engine from miles away against the cold ocean background. The F-35 doesn't need to turn on its radar and reveal its position. It just looks at the heat and cues the missile. It is the ultimate sensor. The F-35 isn't fighting the drone with aerodynamics. It's fighting it with thermal physics. It turns the Shahed's cheap engine into a shoot me sign. Asset 3. The AIM-9X Sidewinder. The Fox 2. Notice the nozzle. It has movable vanes inside the exhaust. This is thrust vectoring. It allows the missile to turn 90 degrees instantly after launch. It can literally shoot over its shoulder. This is the off-bore sight solution. Old missiles needed to be pointed at the target. The AIM-9X connects to the pilot's helmet. $400,000 helmet. If the F-35 pilot looks at a drone flying behind him, the DAS sensors lock on, and the missile fires backward, looping around to hit the target. It uses an imaging infrared IIR seeker. Unlike old heat seekers that just saw a hot spot and could be fooled by flares, the AIM-9X sees a picture of the target. It can tell the difference between a flare and the exhaust pipe of a Shahed. It is overkill, but necessary. Spending $400,000 to kill a $20,000 drone hurts the wallet. But the AIM-9X has a 90% plus kill rate. When the target is heading for a carrier, you don't buy the discount missile. You buy the one that doesn't miss. Asset 4. The doctrine, the math, asymmetric defense, the survivor's calculus. The math isn't $400,000 versus $20,000. It is $400,000 versus the mission. This doctrine accepts that the US will always lose the unit cost war. You cannot build an interceptor cheaper than a plastic drone. So the US builds networked survivability. By using the F-35 as a forward observer, the carrier strike group pushes its defensive perimeter out 500 miles. They kill the drone before it ever gets near the expensive ships. They are trading money for distance. As long as the printing press in Washington works, they can afford the missiles. They cannot afford to lose the ship. It is a temporary fix. The US can sustain this for a month, maybe a year. But eventually, the sheer volume of cheap drones will exhaust the supply of expensive missiles. The F-35 is holding the line, but the engineers need a cheaper bullet, like lasers or microwaves, fast. The war of 2026 isn't about who has the best jet. It's about who goes bankrupt first. Right now, the US is betting that its $100 million fighter can kill enough $20,000 drones to force a stalemate. It is the most expensive game of whack-a-mole in human history. But when the mole carries a 50-kilogram warhead, you use the biggest hammer you have.